Marilyn Monroe is a celebrity who needs no introduction because everyone in the world knows her name. The actress brought joy to her viewers and was adored by millions, yet she was also lonely. She lived a very short life in which there were not only delighted cries of fans and flashes of cameras, but also insurmountable pressure, health problems, and many more behind the scenes. Today, I'll tell you how Marilyn Monroe, the most recognizable blonde of the 50s, lived and how much she earned. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. During her rather short career, Monroe earned about $200 million from 23 films and many modeling contracts. The highest fees were paid to her for her last films, The Misfits in 1961 and Something's Got to Happen in 1962. For each of them, the actress earned $1 million, which is equivalent to today's rate of $8 million. Interestingly, for Only Girls in Jazz, one of the most recognizable films in her career, she received half as much, about $500,000 at that time. Today, her image and likeness is used by more than 100 brands around the world, including high-end fashion houses. If she lived during our time, she would earn tens of millions of dollars solely from advertising. While many celebrities invest their royalties in real estate, the star surprisingly only owned one home, which she bought in the last year of her life. It was a huge mansion in Beverly Hills that she bought for $80,000, worth about $800,000 in present day. The area of the house was 250 square meters and included 4 spacious bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Marilyn chose the interior design herself, inspired by Spanish motifs after a trip to Mexico. Unfortunately, she never finished what she started because of her sudden death in 1962. If on television it seemed that everything was fine with Marilyn on the personal front, in reality, it was not so at all. The legendary blonde was married 3 times, and each marriage ended in divorce. She married her first husband, Jim Dougherty, at 16 years old, with whom she went down the aisle to avoid returning to the orphanage. However, no matter how much effort the pair put into establishing a meaningful life together, their marriage did not pass the test of strength. They divorced in 1946 because Jim was opposed to his wife's rapidly developing modeling career. He wanted her to remain a housewife, and this did not suit Marilyn at all. In 1952, the actress met baseball star Joe DiMaggio. Their relationship eventually developed into a romantic one, and the couple married in January of 1954. Unfortunately, their family life was far from ideal. It was reported that DiMaggio was extremely controlling over Marilyn, was jealous of the attention she received from the public, and even raised his hand to her. Only 9 months after their wedding, Monroe filed for divorce. Monroe's final marriage was to playwright Arthur Miller. Similar to her relationship with DiMaggio, Monroe's initial attraction to Miller was not enough to sustain their relationship. There were several attempts to save their marriage, but the couple still divorced in 1961. Nowadays, it is quite difficult to imagine Marilyn with any other hair color because her image as an attractive blonde is forever entrenched in the memory of her audience. However, if you look at her first modeling photographs, it is clear that her hair is actually brown and curly. Although it may sound sad, the initiative to dye her hair platinum blonde was not the choice from Marilyn, but from her modeling agent, Emmeline Snivelli. It was she who advised young Marilyn to change her hair color, as blondes were increasingly in demand in the film industry. After her incredible success, there was no turning back, and the actress continued to dye her hair every 3 weeks for decades. She kept washing her hair to a minimum to ensure she did not lose the color, and when her roots grew back, she applied sifted Johnson's baby powder to them. The image of Marilyn as a blonde eventually became so entwined with her character that it was nearly impossible for the public to recognize her with a different hairstyle. The star once mentioned that she wore a black wig when she wanted to walk the streets, without a huge crowd of fans surrounding her. It is no secret that many celebrities decide to go under the surgeon's knife, just to meet the accepted standards of beauty. Marilyn Monroe was no exception. According to her agent, she had a minor nose and chin surgery to improve the appearance of her facial features. Despite her perception as a beautiful but stupid blonde, the actress was actually quite a well-read person. She loved to read, and considered her best photographs to be those in which she was enjoying reading. Her house held an impressive library, in which more than 400 volumes of various literature genres were found. She was often seen at the Pickwick bookstore on Hollywood Boulevard. She often chose a book at random and opened it to a random page, and if she liked what she read, she immediately bought the book. Although Marilyn was adored by millions, she did not have a person whom she could completely trust. As a result, she documented her feelings and experiences in a personal diary. Her notes reveal a new side of Marilyn that no one had ever seen before. Marilyn Monroe's figure has long served as a standard of beauty, but her eating habits can hardly be called an example to follow. She loved lamb chops, hot dogs, hamburgers, sundaes, and all kinds of raw carrot steaks. How at the same time she managed to keep herself in shape remains a real mystery. Additionally, she always surprised fans with her love of raw eggs with milk. Her breakfast often consisted of 2 raw eggs mixed with warm milk. The star was a known lover of animals, especially dogs. Her first 4-legged friend was named Tippy, who was given to her by her adoptive father. When the actress was about 5 years old, her family's neighbor shot the dog, claiming that he was running on his lawn. The spaniel Raffles was her companion when she lived with the Goddard family. Marilyn had to share the dog with her named sister Bibi. When she first married, her husband gave her Muggsy, with whom she often liked to walk. The star also had a Chihuahua named Joseph, a Basset Hound named Hugo, and a white poodle named Moff. Interestingly, her poodle was presented by none other than the legendary Frank Sinatra. Moff's name is short for Mafia and was a playful reference to Sinatra's alleged connection to the Mafia. The dog remained with Marilyn until the very end, outliving her by several years. The actress once said, "I love animals. When you talk to a dog or a cat, they will never tell you to shut your mouth." The manner of speech and hoarse voice of the famous blonde were her signature. But few people know that both were used as a way to hide her stutter. Marilyn stuttered from childhood and eventually went to a speech therapist. The doctor suggested that mindful breathing before speaking could help with this problem. During the filming of her latest movie, The Unfinished Something's Got to Happen, the actress was under a lot of stress due to issues in her personal life and her abuse of prescription drugs. As a result, her stuttering returned, sometimes interrupting her ability to speak her lines at all. It is also worth discussing a little bit about the childhood years of the famous Marilyn Monroe. The movie star was born on June 1, 1926, in Los Angeles, California, and was born with the name Norma Jean Mortensen. Her mother, Gladys Baker, worked as a film editor. But Monroe was unfortunately never lucky enough to see her father alive. Although her mother worked hard and could not devote much time to her, the first years of Monroe's life were quite happy. However, Gladys soon began to exhibit signs of a mental disorder. As a result, Monroe spent most of her childhood living with foster families and in orphanages. To escape from her terrible reality, she often visited cinemas. It was likely that such escape sparked her initial desire to pursue a career in acting. In 1945, while working in an aircraft factory, she was spotted by a photographer named David Conover. He offered her an opportunity to model for $5 an hour. She agreed, and soon her photographs graced the pages of thousands of magazines. Norma Jean then took on the pseudonym Marilyn Monroe and began attending acting, dance, and vocal classes. Although her first roles did not attract much attention, the films Niagara and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes were the catalyst for her to rise to stardom. Suddenly, there was a huge demand for her in the film industry, which inevitably affected her health in profound ways. Public pressure and problems in her personal life caused Monroe to dive into deep depression. On August 4, 1962, she was found dead in her own bed. The official cause of her sudden death was acute barbiturate poisoning, but there are still many conspiracy theories that refute this report. That's all for today. Have you watched any movies that star Marilyn Monroe? Share in the comments.